Russell, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, thank you. So you're over there at Kestra, and I thought I saw your new feature, like this trigger, being able to trigger events from like a Kafka stream, and I thought that would be super interesting to kind of show that working with WarpStream. But maybe explain real briefly what Kestra does overall.
Yeah, so Kestra is a super versatile orchestrator, allows you to automate all sorts of different tasks. But the kind of unique thing about it is you define all of it in YAML, but you can also do it in the UI. So it sort of gives you that best of both worlds of sort of this low code experience.
Nice, nice. Well, shoot then. Let's do it up. I figured we'd start in WarpStream. You go ahead and create your cluster, and then let's pop into Kestra and connect to it and see what happens.
Yeah, let's do it. So let me there we go. So let's create just a simple cluster. I'm just going to call it Kestra, keep it simple.
Okay.
Uh cool.
You can exit the tutorial.
Exit that, and then I will want to make some credentials so I can add those into Kestra. So I'm going to just call these Kestra again. Maybe not the best practice, but it will work.
It's
And
good
then
for this.
yeah, so for this example, we'll want to be able to use the terminal to be able to communicate with our Kestra workflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into the terminal. I'm going to
Okay.
just so I'm going to put these into the terminal. Like so. And then I can then use the WarpStream CLI to then be able to talk to a topic called tutorial. And
Okay,
then,
perfect.
yeah, and we can just double check this is working by type hello. We can hopefully see a little spike. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what we like to see. So now
Excellent.
we've got the fun part of connecting this to Kestra. So now jumping into Kestra, what we can do is I've actually got a flow somewhat set up already, and we can use the new real-time trigger for Kafka to allow us to have our workflows trigger automatically anytime a new event appears in our Kafka stream. So allows you
Oh,
to set up things automatically. You haven't got to lift a finger. Everything's just going to run for you in the background.
nice. So what does that look like in Kestra?
Yeah, so in Kestra, we it's all declared in YAML, so makes it super readable. What we're going to do is we're just going to add a very simple log task here. Just type that in. And then we're going to just leave this blank for now because we haven't got anything to put in it, but we'll come back to that in a
Okay.
second. Now the trick here is we're going to use the new real-time trigger for Kafka. So what we can do is define our trigger, and this is what's going to execute our flow.
Okay. And I see it pops up a help there on the side as you're going. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so if once I've typed in real-time trigger, we'll see that once the type's been added, and we'll see that there's that Kafka trigger and then there's the new real-time trigger. It will then
Hmm.
give us all the documentation that we need, which is good because this is new, which means we're all learning how it works together.
Nice.
We can add our topic in. So I believe topic is it's all in alphabetical order. So we can see that topic is not required, but we are going to add it. So make sure that everything is working nicely. And then properties wise, this is where we'll add like our credentials. This is the same as the Kafka docs. So if you're using Kafka in a way where you've got certain credentials or you're using a certain type of authentication, you should be able to get something working here. And as you can see here, you can use key stores and stuff as well.
Nice.
Now I'm just going to paste paste these in. And then we want to be able to add in our configuration, which is where I'm going to need to cheat a little bit to copy and paste them.
You're not going to type that out yourself?
No. And then we'll just grab this one as well, just like so. So now we can then make sure that the terminal and our real-time trigger are using the same.
Okay.
And then we just need to add in a couple of extra properties. We can see that on this list, we'll see that group ID is required, as is key deserialization, key deserializer, and I believe the value deserializer as well. Now I have these pre-made for us to make life a little bit easier. It'd help if I copied and pasted the full thing. There we go. So we can just format that, and the
That's a pretty aggressive interactive YAML verification. That's pretty cool.
there we go. This is the thing I find interesting about YAML. People often complain that YAML is difficult and annoying. And I find the same when I'm trying to, maybe configure a Docker Compose file. But the thing that makes the Kestra editor so useful is, like you said, it's so aggressive in its errors that like you know exactly where the problem is. So it's really easy to fix. Whereas Docker Compose, it might not work, but it's kind of unclear like exactly what you need to do to fix it. So I do
Yeah.
find that the Kestra editor does make that a lot easier. So yeah, we've got our trigger set up now. We've got our
Okay.
tutorial topic. We've got our username and password set up in our config here. And obviously we've got the WarpStream set up as well. So now, in theory, when we start typing in our terminal, we'll then see these responses appear in Kestra. But there's one last thing that we do need to do, which is just add that value that the trigger is going to get from Kafka into our
Okay.
log.
I was
And we
just
can
about to ask about that one.
and so we can use the wonderful Pebble language here, where we can see these are the options that we have for the trigger. So we can get like the timestamp of when the trigger executes, the topic from Kafka, or the value. In this case, I want the value that's being sent. And then now all I have to do is sit back and relax. So if I click on executions, we'll see that we've not had any executions recently. But if I was to start typing in the terminal over here, we'll see that a new execution has appeared straight away. And when I
Wow.
press logs, we can see that message has appeared. So super quick and responsive. I didn't even have a chance to press the refresh button before it appeared.
That is really cool. So everything that's hitting is an event that, in this case, you're just writing to a log. So
Yep.
what about conditional logic?
Yeah, so the really cool thing with this Pebble templating language is you can kind of customize this however you like. So obviously we've just done a simple log here, but you could have that sent to Slack if a certain message is sent. And so we can do a similar example to that. So we do have tasks that allow you to add that sort of logic to your workflows. So why don't we just add a simple if statement to make that a little bit easier?
So you could then, in theory, like say you're doing IoT devices that are sending heartbeats or whatever to Kafka stream, and you've got a status that you're looking for. And if you had a failure, you could send that as a Slack message.
Yeah, exactly. You could send it
Wow.
as a Slack message or really anything with a webhook, to be honest. So if you've got
Okay.
something really custom or something, you could also do that as well. So I'm actually going to just set our condition here to error. If it detects the word error, then that will, you know, probably a good idea that it tells us about that. And then very simply, I can just take this log task and I can just indent it. And we can just use that as the thing it does. And then we'll just say here,
Oh,
error message. And there's a few other things that we can do with the templating. So we can actually take the execution ID, so we can then see which execution was actually the one that had the error to maybe make it a little bit easier for us to dig in and find out why.
hmm.
Um, and then we can just add an else condition here. And this one will be very simple. And I mean, normally you could just leave this blank because you probably don't really want it to,
You don't want to do
notify
anything.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're okay, be quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing to worry about. So we've got our condition here. It's going to check if that trigger value is error. And if it is that, then it should hopefully send us the execution ID. And then if it's not that, it will just tell us, don't worry, you can relax. It's all good.
Okay. Cool.
So shall we give this a go?
Yes, let's do that.
So I'm going to put error. And now if we head over to executions, we'll see that we've had our new execution created. And if I click into it and click on logs, we'll see that it has successfully printed error message. And if we click on the topology view, you'll see that it has executed the log, which was the one if the condition was met. So really, really useful. And the UI obviously makes that very easy to visualize as well, as to what's going on. So really helpful.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's really slick. I can see a lot of use cases for this immediately.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
Well, that's really impressive. What a great new feature in Kestra. And that took like what 30 seconds to connect it to WarpStream. So maybe 10 seconds. So,
Yeah, no, it's super powerful. And the beauty of Kestra is we've got nearly 500 plugins. So you can then take this connection to WarpStream and really connect it to anything you want, and set up a workflow to do exactly what you're after. So lots of versatility there.
that is fabulous. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Will, and walking me through that and learning a little something new about Kestra. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for teaching me a few things about WarpStream as well.